Aloha. We will begin our service with the ringing of the temple bell. At this time, please silence your cell phones and listen quietly, as the sounding of the konshu is an invitation to settle our hearts and minds as we prepare to receive the Dharma. Thank you.
Namanda, 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 namanda.
Good morning. Thank you for attending today's Dharma Family Service. I am John Sui, and I will serve as your MC. Assisting at this temple with technical support is Zoom crew of Joey Gusman, Alan Matsumoto, and Lynn Katayama. Betty Takioka will lead the singing. Please rise and let us start the service with the Vandana and Tisarana. Please chant both the Pali and English parts together with Reverend Blayne.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one. namanda, 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 namanda.
Please remain standing. Reverend Blayne will now share an aspiration.
We gather this morning as friends in the Dharma, as fellow travelers along the journey of life. We come together in fellowship to learn the Buddha's way of peace and harmony as we face the challenges and chaos of our world. In this time of deep anger and division, let us reflect on the words of Shutoku Taishi, the great patron of Buddhism in Japan. Let us cease from wrath and refrain from angry looks, nor let us be resentful when others differ from us. For all beings have hearts, and each heart has its own leanings. Their right is our wrong, and our right is their wrong. We are not unquestionable sages, nor are they unquestionable fools. We are simply ordinary beings. We offer thoughts of loving kindness and healing for our nation. May we work together to alleviate suffering in all forms by transforming the poisons of greed, anger, and ignorance into generosity, love, and wisdom. May we always take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows us the way in this life, the Dharma, the way of understanding and love, and the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. Entrusting ourselves to the Buddha of all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion, we call Amida's name with profound gratitude, abiding joy, and a heart-centered awareness for our responsibility to nurture peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu.
Please be seated. It is now time for the offering of incense. We invite all Sangha members in attendance to please come up and offer incense if you wish, starting with the front rows and moving towards the back. Let us observe a moment of silent meditation.
Namandab, 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 namandab.
Reverend Blayne will now lead us in chanting the sutra, 12 homages, or English Juni Rai. Words can be found on the laminated sheets in the back of the pews and on the screen.
The Junidai, or 12 homages, was composed by Nagarjuna, the first of the 7 masters of Jodo Shinshu. Nagarjuna celebrates the beauty, the grandeur, and the preciousness of the Pure Land, which manifests the virtues of Amida Buddha and expresses the desire to be born in the realm of enlightenment. The phrase Koga Chodai Mida Son, or thus I bow to Amida, is repeated 10 times and has the same meaning as Namo Amida Butsu. This expression of dedication reminds us of our commitment to the Buddha and the land of peace, where everyone attains the highest fulfillment of Buddhahood. Gods and men all bow in awe to Amida the revered, in Buddha's wondrous pure land. Bodhisattvas gather round, golden form like the mountain king, steadfast like the elephant's face, Buddha's eyes like the blue lotus. Thus I bow to Amida, Buddha's form round like the moon, bright like 1,000 suns and moons, Buddha's voice like the nightingale. Thus I bow to Amida, Buddha's figure on Kanon's crown, adorned with wondrous features. Buddha subdues evilness. Thus I bow to Amida, the unconventional Mountain King. Thus I bow to Amida. Bodhisattvas come afar, attaining true happiness. They revere the Buddha's face. Thus I bow to Amida. All life changes like the dew. We have no permanent self. Buddha teaches this law to all. Thus I bow to Amida. No evil in the Pure Land, and no fear of evil paths. Faithful hearts honor Buddha. Thus I bow to Amida, saving us through many ways. No tempters, no evil friends. Birth leads to enlightenment. Thus I bow to Amida. Amida, thus I have praised virtues boundless like the sea. These virtues shared with others for birth into the Pure Land. Naman namin. Naman namin. Naman namin. Naman namin. Naman namin. Naman namin. The virtue of Amida's vow is shared equally by all, together attaining awakened mind. We are born in the land of peace. Namandabu, 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 namandabu.
Please rise for the Gatha when we see the golden sun. Words can be found on pages 212 in the purple Praises of the Gatha book. Again, page 212 in the Gatha book.
When we see the golden
Thank you, Betty. You may be seated. Today's Dharma message will be shared by Reverend Blayne.
Hi, good morning, everybody. So I stand here before you with a heavy heart. Early this week, we witnessed yet another act of political violence, the murder of a popular conservative activist who was gunned down while speaking at a college campus. This horrific event has sent shockwaves through many communities. Many in our country who regarded him as a man of faith and as a champion for their values are mourning his loss, while others who viewed him as an oppressor promoting hate and division are not. It's not my place or anyone else's to tell someone else how they should feel right now. We need to extend grace and compassion to everyone during this tumultuous time. This underscores the complex reality of being human, of grief, and the polarized and dangerous times we are living through. However, we should all mourn the loss of another human being to the culture of rage, contempt, and gun violence that threatens to consume us all. Charlie Kirk championed positions and a worldview I wholeheartedly oppose. Yet, he was not an enemy, but a fellow American exercising his right to free speech. I respect that and mourn his violent death. We should all be appalled by political violence in any form. Full stop. This is not how we resolve our differences in America. We debate civilly and passionately, present our views to the public, and hold free and fair elections that showcase competing visions for our country. Violence in any form contradicts the sacred principles of our democracy. And yet, we cannot ignore the very real harm his words and actions cause to many in our country. We can both mourn what his loss means for his loved ones and acknowledge all that he did to hurt others. All of these things, all of these truths can coexist. We can face complexity with honesty, with sensitivity, and with compassion. We've seen the clash of realities in the news and on social media these past few days. With heartfelt tributes to a loving husband and father, alongside calls to hold him accountable for the harmful and destructive things he said and stood for. When our lives come to an end, we are remembered as a whole person, not just the parts we want others to focus on. We have the capacity to accept the full scope of a life with all of its contradictions. That is what it means to be a mature human being. In this time of deep anger and division, we should reflect on the words of Shotoku Taishi, the revered patron of Buddhism from 6th century Japan, who said, "Let us cease from wrath and refrain from angry looks, nor let us be resentful when others differ from us. For all beings have hearts, and each heart has its own leanings. Their right is our wrong, and our right is their wrong. We are not unquestionable sages, nor are they unquestionable fools. We are both simply ordinary beings." His wise words, rooted in the Buddha Dharma, encourage us to recognize our shared humanity and to live with humility and compassion for others, even those with whom we disagree. Prince Shotoku reminds us that our very existence depends on our relationship with others. When we honestly reflect on who and what we are, we realize our deep connection and mutual dependence on all things. The Buddhist practice of loving kindness begins with ourselves and extends to all beings, including those we find challenging to love or care for. When we reflect deeply on our interdependent lives, we see that what harms one person likely harms others, and what benefits one will probably benefit many. This is how we should cultivate empathy and compassion needed to help heal our deeply fractured nation and world. In the teaching from the Amida Sutra, one of the 3 sacred scriptures of Shin Buddhism, there is a beautiful 2-headed bird named the Gyumyocho that dwells in the Pure Land, meaning shared life. The Gyumyocho is said to have a melodious voice that sings the Dharma, guiding those who hear its song toward enlightenment. According to legend, the bird's 2 heads had very different personalities and desires. When one head was sleepy, the other wanted to play. When one was hungry, the other wanted to rest. Eventually, the 2 heads began to resent and hate each other. One day, while one of the heads was sleeping, the other feasted on delicious fruits and flowers until he was full. And when the sleeping head awoke, he wanted to eat too, but he was already full because they shared one stomach. He was angry that he could not enjoy any of the food, so he took revenge by secretly poisoning the other head, which resulted in its death. However, he also suffered and died because they shared the same body. As he was dying, he realized how foolish he had been. While he resented the other head, he failed to see that his own life depended on it. By harming the other head, he was also hurting himself. In the Pure Land, the Gyumyocho sings, "The way which destroys others also destroys oneself. The way that keeps others alive also keeps oneself alive." Through this story, the Buddha teaches that we are all living a life of mutual dependence. However, it feels as though we are living in vastly different worlds from one another. This clash of perspectives and values has led to the dehumanization of those we disagree with. The pain and hurt we continue to cause each other result in mutual harm. In our obsession with winning and being right at all costs, we have lost the sight of our shared humanity. Despite our differences, we are part of one community, one nation, and one world. We are one human family, and our lives are bound together. So yes, I do mourn the murder of Charlie Kirk, as well as the many others who have been victims of political violence in our country. I mourn all the innocent lives lost to uncontrolled gun violence. I mourn our culture of anger and contempt toward those we disagree with. I mourn the loss of empathy for those outside our own tribes. I mourn the perversion of faith to justify discrimination and exclusion. I mourn the rise of violent rhetoric and the intentional stirring of anger. I mourn how our leaders are fueling the flames of division and hate. I mourn the cynical exploitation of tragedy to suppress free speech and dissent. I mourn for our inability to see our shared humanity. I mourn the lives destroyed by a system that keeps failing us. I mourn for our children and the world we are creating for them. I mourn for our nation divided. Just like the lotus flower rises from muddy water to bloom beautifully, we can also transform our suffering to something greater. The Buddha shared with us a path of continuous becoming. Every moment of our lives is an opportunity to look inward and to gain a deeper understanding of our heart and mind. The Buddha's path is not about escaping the ocean of suffering, but about diving into it and immersing ourselves to be transformed. Just as a lotus flower cannot grow in clear water, we cannot grow without the mud of our lives. Our challenges, our obstacles, our hurts are all nutrients that help us to grow. The Buddha's teaching help enable us to accept it all and turn the muck into a life of awakening. But we must intentionally choose to do this difficult work. It's so easy for us to be consumed by anger. However, our unchecked anger and resentment will only lead to more suffering. The Buddha teaches that bloodstains cannot be removed by more blood. Resentment cannot be removed by more resentment. Resentment can only be removed by forgetting it. And as Dr. Martin Luther King warned, we must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. We should deeply reflect on the words of the Buddha and Dr. King, which remind us that our path forward cannot be built on anger, contempt, or violence. We should strive to respond thoughtfully and peacefully rather than react impulsively and violently in the days ahead. Perhaps we can finally understand what it truly means to be human through these tragedies before we destroy each other. Our choice is clear. We can become better versions of ourselves or remain trapped in resentment, anger, and fear. It's time to set aside these childish and selfish games. Put on our big kid pants and do the messy work of healing our broken and divided country before we face the fate of the two-headed bird. We can and must hold each other accountable because our future depends on it. In closing, please join me in Gasho to recite the name of Amida, the Buddha of all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion, with the aspiration to be better and to do better in these troubled times. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Mahalo.
Well, thank you for your message, Reverend Blayne. Myrna Kunihura will lead us in unison reading of our pledge. Words can be found on the handouts and on the screen. Please recite the words out loud together with her.
Our pledge. Reaching out to others, I will share a smile and gentle words, just like the Buddha who always calls out with aloha. Breaking away from my greed, anger, and ignorance, I will try to live in peace and harmony, just like the Buddha who shares tranquility and kindness with all. Moving forward from self-centeredness, I will share a life of joy and sorrow with others, just like the Buddha, whose caring heart always embraces us. Realizing that I live because of others, I will strive to live life to the fullest with an attitude of gratitude, just like the Buddha who promises to embrace us all. Namo Buddhasa, Namo Buddhasa, Namo Buddhasa.
Thank you, Myrna. We'll now have the offertory presentation. Mahalo for your generosity, which helps to sustain our temple. Please rise as we conclude this service with singing of the Gatha Nembutsu.
Namandam, 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 namandam.
You may be seated. This concludes today's service. Here are some announcements. Upcoming schedule of services, events, and reminders. Next Sunday, September 21st, Autumn Ohigan service will be held at 10 a.m. Reverend Blayne will share a Dharma message. On Saturday, September 27th, the Konohonganji BWA will celebrate their 125th anniversary. Service will begin at 10 a.m. Special guest speaker will be Bishop Toshiyuki Umitani. Luncheon will follow at 11:30 a.m. We are all invited to attend this auspicious occasion, and we hope you all RSVP'd for the luncheon. There will be no Sunday service on September 28th. Sunday, October 5th, regular Dharma family service will be held at 10 a.m. Minister's Assistant Linda Nagai will share a Dharma message. Sunday, October 12th, we'll have our annual pet appreciation service for our furry, feathered, and scaly friends. Our Sangha friend, George Klum, will serve as our lay speaker. Reminder, please be sure to read Reverend Blayne's weekly email and open all the interesting attachments, which include registrations for various seminars via Zoom. Of particular interest is the flyer for a screening at the Kono Elks Lodge on Hualalai Road entitled Shikata Ga Nai. It's a presentation by the Nisei Veterans Legacy, and the showing is sponsored by the Kona Japanese Civic Association and the Japanese Cultural Center of Kona. Any other announcements? Reverend Blayne, anybody? Okay. Those of you on Zoom may leave at any time. Those of you in person, Refreshments will be served in the conference room. Mahalo to Hetty Castillo Gray and Maki Yamaguchi and anyone else who brought goodies to share. Please stay safe and get the new updated COVID shots and flu shots if you can. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you at next week's Autumn Ohigan service.
Naman, naman, naman.